Welcome back, guys. In this new sketch video series, I will be focusing, this is CSEC 2007 past paper question on the sketch and design. This question asks that we make a neat orthographic sketch to show the components of a prefabricated roof truss made from timber construction. Show size and label all parts clearly. Yeah, so before going any further, I would like to show you if you have an idea what a prefabricated truss is. Prefabricated truss are typically used in constructions in United States and Canada and those countries. They're not so popular in the Caribbean. We really don't use them. Here's an example of a prefabricated roof truss. And note the parts. We have the joist wall plate section here. These are referred to as the webs. Webs support the joist. We have top cord, which is also called the rafters. We have another web on this side, so please note what web does. We have bottom cord, and in some instances we call it joist wall plate. Here again we have the overhang. Yeah, so this is one example, and I'm going to try to locate another example to show you. Here we have another example of a prefabricated truss, and this one is at least much more simple than the previous one. Here we have the top cord or the rafters. We have our web here. We have the king post. We have the bearing point, and I have the bottom cord. Yeah, so this varies a little bit, and we also have different types, different designs. Here is another example of roof truss framework. Typical examples. So take note of the different parts that exist there. So let's go back to the question. So this is the question. This is the question right here. So the question asks that you need orthographic sketch, and we know that the word orthographic means two-dimensional, which means we're gonna show length and width for each part. Show size and labeled all parts clearly. So let's get into the drawing. Okay, so let's get into the drawing of a roof truss. First part I will draw is the bottom cord. With my bottom cord. And from that, then I would start draw the first rafter. And the overhang for that. And from the other side, no, a little tip when you're drawing this is to establish your center first. Establish a center, so you know how far out to go with this. Draw a pale line here. Yeah, to establish that. And it's also good to establish a distance for your overhang, so you know how far to go. But first, start by drawing this very pale. Very pale. Yeah, very pale first. And the overhang is typically 450. So in this case, I'm doing a sketch, so I'm merely estimating all the measurements. Now, as we would have seen before, that the roof truss varies. It varies tremendously. From here we could have a king post if we want. King post could have been here. Not all roof truss has king post. And from here we could draw a web, have a web here. Web support the rafters. Web right there. We could have another web here. And it is important to note that the name for this part varies as well. Yeah, like top chord or rafters. Bottom chord can be referred to as joist in some instances, or the joist could also be below the bottom chord. So this varies. Let me just give you a little a little look back at what we had looked at before. Let us take a look at this one again. So here, top chord is referred to as the rafter. The bottom chord is called tie beam. Yeah, we have our wall plate, which is standard, or standard wall plate there. And our webs that are used to support to reinforce the joist. We have top chord, which is called rafters. We have purlins, which is typically used for in cases for roof that has sheet metal covering material. Yeah. So again, the variation this varies. Okay, so let's get back to this. Now, this point here is where we would have our wall plate, where the wall plate is. So this is a wall, and our wall plate would be someplace would be right here. Um, in some cases, the wall plate is pretty much oh, is pretty much where the top plate would be. So that we would nail the truss would be nailed onto the top plate, and the top plate, as you know, is typically two pieces of two pieces of 4x2 nailed together. And to label this is a very simple roof truss or roof framework. Yeah. So here is referred to as the rafter, or top chord, or top chord. And this is typically 100 by 50. As a matter of fact, all of this is 100 by 50. And this is the same thing right here. Here we have webs. These are our webs. 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 And our webs are typically the same dimension as that. Here we have our bottom chord. Bottom chord. This section here would be the overhang, and here would have been the wall plate. Wall plate. The wall plate, or the top plate, or the top plate. Well, as a matter of fact, this part would be on the wall itself and not necessarily a part of the roof truss framework. So be careful here. But this part would be would be named the load point. The load point, which is where the truss would rest. We could have purlin. purlin, or we could have plyboard on this, depending on the type of roof design, type of roofing material. So this could be purlin, and these are typically 50 by 50, and they are typically spaced at 800 millimeters apart, 800 millimeters apart, and the overhang is typically 450. Overhang is typically 450, and the typical wall is 100, typically 100 millimeters, but 150, 150, well, let's use 150 because the sheetrock would brings that up to another little more. So this would be the typical. Oh, here will be the king post. King post, yes. So we have web, purlin, rafters, our top cord. We have our bottom cord or joist in some instances. We have our web, which supports the rafters or the top cord, and we have our wall plate. So that's a basic. This is a basic roof truss framework. Again, roof truss framework varies. The design varies. They have probably like 20 or 30 different framework. Yeah.